Most of the students who appear GS3 are pretty much confident before the examination are. Now, once they give the examination, they are even more confident that they have attempted majority of the questions to the best possible abilities. The difference in a good answer, which fetches you good marks, and a superficial answer is the matured preparation and a matured content. Information overload clutter and a superficial understanding clutter. What exactly are these five, and how, as a beginner or as a serious aspirant, how do we particularly avoid these five forms of clutter so that we end up scoring good marks in our final exam? So I'm clearly waiting to see you all at the webinar tomorrow. Hello, everybody. Now you can see on the screen a question from Civil Services Mains Exam 2023. The question asked you, what is oil pollution? What are its impacts on the marine ecosystem? In what way is the oil pollution particularly harmful for a country like India? Now, if I take you back to the preparation pedagogy of the students that year, this was one of the most common questions which was addressed by the students, and many people wrote the answer. When this news initially came in the year 2022, it specifically focused on certain oil spills related to Peru and its effect on the environment and the marine ecosystem. Further, if you see the current affairs news of that year, it delved more into the emerging technologies available for marine oil spill response. Now, accordingly, the students there prepared what is an oil spill, major oil spills of the world, challenges and impacts, and international conventions related to it. Further, especially for the science and technology part, many of them also prepared special technologies related to oil spills. Now, this should tell us that after preparing these 5 points, most of the people had enough content to answer this particular question. But if you see the third part of this particular question, the question asked, in what way is oil pollution particularly harmful for a country like India? Now, if we go back to the points which we had read and developed content upon, nowhere you will see that this particular question was addressed. Now, what did this result in? This resulted in an answer in the mains which looked somewhat like this. Particularly with respect to harmful effects on India, you could see very vague and generic points. Most of the students who appear GS3 are pretty much confident before the examination hour. Now, once they give the examination, they are even more confident that they have attempted majority of the questions to the best possible abilities. But still, if you see the marking schema of the last few years, you will feel, and all the aspirants who have given the mains have this one complaint, that the expectations and the marks which they finally obtained differed. Now, why is it so? I think the answer lies somewhere in the current affairs. If you see, what were those current affairs which we referred to? It was these, specifically related to oil spill in Peru, because that was what was published in the newspaper, in the environment section and the national news section. Now, these are the few sections where most of the coaching institutes take their current affairs materials from. And this is the particular section where we also focus while reading a particular newspaper. But if you see, the same year, there was a significant news about crack in an underwater pipeline which caused oil spill in the sea off the coast of Nagapattinam in Tamil Nadu, which was in fact present in the state page of that year Hindu. Now, as we researched and went back to the oil spills in India and to see if oil spill was actually a major news with respect to India, which later converted into a GS mains question, we found out that the next news, or the news which was previously mentioned with respect to oil spill in India, was in 2017, where there was a lot of talk about Chennai oil spill. And before that, a major oil spill happened in 2014 off the coast of Sunderbans. So the difference in a good answer, which fetches you good marks, and a superficial answer is the matured preparation and a matured content. Now, what does a matured preparation mean? बहुत time as I talk to aspirants, one question which comes up is हमें कितना तक prepare करना चाहिए और कहाँ से prepare करना चाहिए, किस पर्टिकुलर ईयर से हमें करंट अफेयर्स प्रिपरेशन चाहिए. इफ आई टेक दिस कंटेंट एज एन एग्जांपल, तो हमें 2014 से अभी तक क्या रियली प्रिपेयर करना चाहिए फॉर करंट अफेयर्स? दैट्स नॉट feasible. But what is important is how do we clear the clutter and develop a fully matured content for our preparation. Now, that is what is going to be our topic of discussion in the next webinar. Now, once we cut the various forms of clutter, which we are going to discuss in the webinar, and trace back the maturity of a particular news item, we will arrive at an answer which will look something like this. If you see the harmful effects on India section, you will find there are specific examples for each and every points. It is not generic, not vague, not superficial. Now that is the agenda of the webinar, to clear the clutter and help the aspirants develop a fully mature content. Now, what do I mean by cutting the clutter? There are basically five types of clutter while preparing current affairs, which an aspirant comes across. Too much content, random prioritization, disconnected preparation, information overload clutter, and a superficial understanding clutter. What exactly are these five, and how, as a beginner or as a serious aspirant, how do we particularly avoid these five forms of clutter so that we end up scoring good marks in our final exam? This is going to be a second topic of the webinar. And then finally, especially for the aspirants who have been wanting a brief overview of Samachar Manthan, we are going to have a Samachar Manthan immersion class particularly on these lines, where you can consider it as a trailer to the actual Samachar Manthan class, where I would be showing you how a particular content matures over a period of time. So I'm clearly waiting to see you all at the webinar tomorrow. Good luck.